All right, you guys. So we have managed to get up to topic 9, which is the reproductive system. So I know a lot of you might want to continue on and do midwifery, so the reproductive system is going to be very important for you moving forward, regardless of which area of nursing you want to get into. All right. So topic 9, reproduction. Okay, so let's spend a little bit of time thinking about what the reproductive system actually does. It actually does 4 major jobs. The first thing that it does, that this system is responsible for making very special cells. So these cells are actually the ones that we use to create another human being. So those cells are actually called gametes. So the reproductive system is in charge of doing that. The other thing it does is that it actually allows these special cells to get together, okay, because we need to bring them together. The other thing that the reproductive system does, it actually allows these 2 special cells that we've made specifically to make a new human being. The reproductive system is the spot where they merge. Okay, so it's the place where they get together and that will actually become then another human being. And the last job of the reproductive system, as if it doesn't have enough to do, it now supports the development of that new human being until it is ready for that little human being to be born. So as you can see, the reproductive system does lots and lots of very important things. Right, so this means that for this topic, we're actually going to be splitting it up into 4 bits. And for this lecture, we're going to just focus on number 1. And then lecture 2 will focus on number 2, lecture 3 on 3, and so forth. Okay, so let's look at the anatomy of the female reproductive system. As you can see, there are lots of structures here. But what I want you to do is I want you to highlight these ones, because these are the ones that I consider to be the most important for you guys to learn about. So, ovaries. I want you to find the ovaries in this picture and highlight it, okay? So that's a task for you to do. Breasts, you can just point to them there, okay? So the breasts are also part of the female reproductive system. Okay, let's look at the male reproductive system. Again, I want you to find all of these structures in this picture and highlight them, because they're the ones that I think are most important for you to learn at this level. So for example, let's find the prostate gland. Here we go. There it is. There is the prostate. So we highlight that one because that one's important for you to learn about. Okay, so again, this lecture is just focused on the very first job, which is making very special cells that we use to make another human being. All right, so Making these very, very special cells involves following a process. That process is called meiosis. Now, we have seen that before, so we're just going to revisit it again. Meiosis in females happens in the ovaries, and meiosis in males happens in the testes. So I want you to label these on this image to make sure you know where they are. Right, let's do a little recap of what meiosis was, okay? So you know already that you get some genetic material from your mum and some genetic material from your dad. Now, in the last lecture, I kind of broke that genetic material up into 23 bits, but essentially it's like this 23 number is like having a piece of string. You can pretend, let's pretend it's 23 centimeters long. Just for now, it's not, but let's pretend because it's going to make it easy for you to understand. You get 23 centimeters from your mum, 23 centimeters from your dad. The first thing that we need to do is we need to copy that. So we need to copy mum's. So 23 original from mum, 23 centimeters is the copy of that, copy of mum. We get 23 centimeters of dad and we copy what we got from dad. So the first thing in meiosis is making a copy of both what mum gave us and what dad gave us. Okay? So we end up with 22 lots of 23 from mum and 2 lots of 23 from dad. Happy days. Then the process of meiosis now has 2 splits. So then we split. Half of the DNA goes one way and the other half goes the other way. Okay? So the reason why I left it this way is that in meiosis, DNA gets mixed up a bit. So we end up with 23 centimeters plus 23 centimeters of mixed up DNA, 23 centimeters plus 23 centimeters of mixed up DNA. Now, this is kind of the same as this. So so we can't really work with that. So we need to split it again. So this time we put half the DNA here and the other half here. And this guy as well splits. Half a DNA goes here, half a DNA goes there. So we end up with one 23 centimeter string in each of our cells. Okay? So we end up with half of the genetic material that we started off with. And that is the process of making a special cell, a gamete, that humans use to make another human being. Right. So let's have a look and see. Let's do females first. Let's look at females first. Now, when a female is in the fetus, okay, so you're in the womb, you're a baby. This is what happens in the ovary of a female when it's a baby. Okay, so for females, we start doing meiosis when we're still a baby in the womb. So we start our meiosis, so we know that we got some 23 centimeters of mum, 23 centimeters of dad. We copy that. Okay, that's because that's the first stage of meiosis. And then those cells that we made like this, we kind of wrap them up in other cells. It's like a package. Okay, like a package. And so this plus this equals this. So we make lots and lots of those when a female is a baby in the womb, and this happens in the ovary. Okay, so this is the egg, and then these cells that wrap around the egg is called a follicle. Okay, So, or actually, then they're called granulocytes. Don't worry about what they're called. But the egg in its wrapping is called a follicle. Okay? And we have lots of those. Now, these ones that we made when we were a baby are called primordial follicles. Okay, so we just make them and they kind of sit there for a while. So we make lots and lots of these. But as you can see, we don't finish meiosis, do we? No, because all we've done is copied genetic material. So all we've done, let me just go back a step. We just did this. So we have lots and lots of copies of these at this point. Okay? So, oh, sorry. I'm going everywhere today. I'm losing my mind. Here we go. So we make lots and lots of those. We started meiosis. We made a copy of everything, but that's as far as we got. And that's where we stay. Right. And that's where we stay until puberty hits. Okay? Now let's learn a little bit about puberty. Okay? It happens a little bit earlier for females than it does for males, but essentially puberty starts when your hypothalamus starts releasing gonadotropin releasing hormone. And this happens of a night time. Yes. That's why it's very important for teenagers and young people to sleep, okay? Because this is where they're going to get their hormones, when your brain starts releasing the hormones, very important. So at some point, your hypothalamus says, okay, guys, it's time for me to release gonadotropin releasing hormone. Don't ask me how it knows how to do that. I just don't know. And then that causes a cascade of events. Now, puberty in both males and females happens exactly the same way, okay? It just means that we get different outcomes because we have different structures that are affected. So, puberty, hypothalamus gives us gonadotropin releasing hormone, and that travels down to the anterior pituitary. So, in response to that, the anterior pituitary releases LH and FSH. It's exactly the same for males and females. The hormones are identical. In females, okay, LH and FSH tell the ovary what to do, okay? And we're going to have a look at these hormones later, but just so you know, for now, it's LH and FSH talk to the ovary. In males, LH and FSH talk to the testes, but the process is identical. So puberty, the hypothalamus releases gonadotropin releasing hormone. That hormone tells the cells in the anterior pituitary to release LH and FSH in both males and females. And then in men or in males, LH and FSH talk to the testes. In females, LH and FSH talk to the ovary. Okay? And then things happen. Okay? So these two hormones make the testes make sperm. And these hormones make the ovary make follicles, okay? Mature follicles. Now, also, there's also, you get secondary sexual characteristics associated to becoming an adult male and also becoming an adult female. So those two hormones talk to the testes and the ovaries, and the point is to get sperm made and become a male, adult male, and for females to get those follicles to develop and become an adult female. All right. Now, After puberty, the female will